player who on the very morning of the match had absolutely no idea whether he would even be stepping onto the field that day. But when he was sent out as a pinch hitter, he produced a batting performance that no wicketkeeper batter in the history of the game had ever delivered before. When he walked out to bat at number 3 that day, not a single person in that ground expected anything extraordinary from him. But by the time the match was over, that same face had become the newest superstar of Indian cricket. His name, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And today's story is about his very first ODI century. A century that did not just win India a match against Pakistan, it completely changed the direction of Indian cricket forever. He drew a line that day with his own talent, a line that has been permanently etched into the history of this sport. Let us begin. The year was 2005. India and Pakistan were in the middle of a one-day series, and the Indian team was desperately searching for a wicketkeeper batter who could keep like Kirmani and bat like Adam Gilchrist. But despite giving chance after chance to player after player, that search had remained frustratingly incomplete. And now the opportunity had been handed to a young wicketkeeper batter from Jharkhand. But in his first 4 matches for India, he had flopped badly and shown nothing. In the very first match of this series, Dhoni had managed just 3 runs before walking back. After that performance, Dhoni himself had no idea whether he would be picked for the next game. But that morning, Dada picked up the phone and called him. "Dhoni, you are in the playing 11. India won the toss and decided to bat first. Walking out to open the innings was India's most dangerous opening combination, Sachin Tendulkar and Virender Sehwag. The moment Sehwag arrived at the crease, he launched himself at the Pakistani bowlers like a starving lion tearing into its prey. His first boundary came with a touch of fortune, but off the very 5th ball, he unleashed a ferocious lofted cut shot, and the ball flew to the boundary like it had been fired from a gun. It was always said about Sehwag that his bat moved faster than a sword, and every ball he faced proved that claim to be completely true. In the 3rd over, Sehwag hit a breathtaking lofted cover drive off Shami, and the ball flew clean over cover and landed deep in the stands. India's score was racing to 26, but then Sachin, trying to flick and steal a quick single, was run out. A stadium that had been shaking with noise fell completely silent in an instant. But who knew at that moment that this run-out would eventually hand India its most successful captain? After Sachin's dismissal, Dada made the bold decision to send Dhoni out as a pinch hitter. Everyone watching was stunned. What kind of decision was this from Ganguly? But they say only a jeweler truly recognizes a diamond, and there was no greater jeweler in Indian cricket than Dada. Sehwag, Yuvraj, Harbhajan, Zahir Khan, every single one of them was a diamond cut and polished by Dada's hands. And today, Dada had placed his bet on Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Meanwhile, at the other end, Sehwag was continuing his assault without a care in the world. Off the 4th ball of the 4th over, he pulled the ball with tremendous power for his second 6 of the innings. But every eye in that ground was now fixed on the young Dhoni. Pakistan had set an aggressive and attacking field specifically for him, but Dhoni answered with his very first ball, driving it hard through the offside for a 4, sending a loud and clear signal that something big was coming today. At the other end, Sehwag was in full destroyer mode. Off an Abdul razzaq delivery, he hit a straight drive so powerful and so perfectly timed that the umpire had to jump out of the way to save himself. After 8.3 overs, India was 71 for 1, and Dhoni had quietly settled in on 20. Then the bowler who arrived was India's sworn enemy, Shahid Afridi. It was well known that Afridi carried a burning hatred for India that went beyond cricket, but Dhoni stepped forward in Afridi's very first over and played a gorgeous lofted drive. The ball bounced once and raced straight to the boundary. Afridi saw this and completely lost his his head. He stormed over to Dhoni and started abusing him. Dhoni turned, looked at him, and simply smiled. And then he gave Afridi his real answer. With the bat, he played the exact same lofted drive again, but this time the ball did not stop at the boundary. It went all the way for a 6. Dhoni had delivered a reply to that Pakistani that he would remember for the rest of his life. After that, Sehwag cracked a thunderous 4 to complete his half-century and then shifted into his most destructive gear. Now facing him was Afridi, India's biggest enemy on that field. Sehwag hit 3 consecutive boundaries off him and showed the world exactly who the father was in this equation. But in the 14th over, Sehwag was caught off a Naveed delivery and walked off. He had smashed 74 runs off just 40 balls, a ferocious, breathtaking innings. After Sehwag's dismissal, Sourav Ganguly strode out to bat and immediately announced his arrival with a magnificent cover drive for 4. One look at that shot and you understood instantly why Dada was called the god of the offside. But in the 20th over, Ganguly was bowled by a Shami in-swinger that crashed through his defenses. India were 140 for 3, and off the 5th ball of that very same over, Dhoni nudged a single to complete his very first international half-century. The entire Indian dressing room rose to its feet and clapped, and after that 50, Dhoni began to show his true colors. The initial pressure that sits on the shoulders of every young player, it had lifted completely from Dhoni now. He was free. Off-spinner Arshad Khan came on to bowl. Dhoni first drilled him through the covers for a powerful 4, and then used his feet and launched him clean over the ropes for a massive 6. 1 hour ago, nobody had any expectations from this man, and now the entire stadium was on its feet cheering for him alone. Dhoni was now batting with absolute authority. He was tearing the Pakistani bowling apart delivery by delivery. He moved to 99 off 87 balls, and off the very next delivery, he pushed one towards long off, ran hard for a single, and completed his very first international century. The way he raised his bat to the sky in that moment told the whole world everything. This man had worked for years in the shadows for exactly this day. 88 balls, 100 runs, 10 fours, and 2 sixes. Everyone in that ground understood in that instant this long-haired young man was built for the long run in Indian cricket. Even after the century, Dhoni kept hammering the Pakistani bowlers without any mercy, and then Afridi came back to bowl. The same man who had hurled abuse at Dhoni earlier. Dhoni used his feet, charged down the pitch, and launched Afridi clean over long on for a massive 6, and then he did it again, stepped out, swung hard, and sent another one sailing over long on for another 6. 2 sixes in a row that reminded Afridi exactly where he stood. In the 42nd over, Dhoni went for yet another big hit but was caught on the boundary. But before that catch was taken, he had already smashed 148 runs off just 123 balls, 15 fours and 4 sixes. Dhoni's innings had completely knocked Pakistan out of the game. Cover drives, lofted drives, power shots, sweeps, everything was on display in that one innings. That wicketkeeper batter gave every Indian cricket fan something they had been dreaming of for years. When Dhoni got out, India's score stood at 289. After Dhoni's departure, Rahul Dravid brought up his own 50, and then in the final overs, Zahir Khan and Balaji launched a few sixes to push India's total to 356 from 50 overs. By 2005 standards, that was a score that felt completely impossible to chase. But as they say, anything can happen in an India-Pakistan match, just not that day. Pakistan's entire batting lineup crumbled for 298 in reply. Ashish Nehra took 4 wickets and Yuvraj took 3, and Dhoni, after scoring that century, kept wicket brilliantly and took 2 catches on top of everything else. The combination of Kirmani and Gilchrist that Indian cricket had been searching for years had finally arrived. So that was the story of Mahendra Singh Dhoni's first century, the innings that handed India a player who would go on to win the country 3 ICC trophies. Friends, how many out of 10 would you give this innings? Drop it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel because the next video is arriving very soon.